Yes. So speaking of that upcoming iPhone and the OLED displays that are going to go in them, we have this report coming out of the Nikkei Asian Review. And Apple's been a big customer, as you know, Will, of LCD panels in the past, and mostly going to, what is the Japanese company? They have the most obvious name, Japan Display, as you would, Will, if you were in Japan and making displays. I love that. It's just so direct. Anyway, Apple's been a big customer of theirs, purchasing LCD displays. Now, they haven't had much luck transitioning over to OLED tech. And as you're aware, with the iPhone 11, in order to get some cost savings into the iPhone 11 lineup, they did the LCD display on the regular version. Of course, they have the LCD display in the new SE. Well, the 10R was an example of that as well. But they're going to shift away from it. It's too much OLED right now. The whole marketplace is OLED. They got to go to OLED. We're living in OLED times. And so even that baseline model is going to move to OLED. And what that means, as you're probably guessing, is that Apple's got to buy some more stuff from Samsung. Because Samsung, the leader by far in the smartphone OLED display department. Now, Apple has been trying to shift away from that because it's a bit weird. So it gets a bit awkward at the gatherings. They say, at the family gatherings when they have a nice little meeting there, they're competing against each other, but also they're a huge customer, and that's kind of strange. So Apple has been grooming. Well, I don't want to say grooming. They've just been hoping to shift to another display manufacturer, but have had issues in meeting the quality expectation or a quality similar to what they're getting from Samsung. And so they haven't made that transition as of yet. LG has produced a small number of OLED displays for iPhones last year. I'm wondering where LG is on this because, as you know, with the TVs, they're all over the OLED. Can you slice these babies up for the smartphone? Obviously, there's different tech involved. I understand this, Will. I'm joking. I'm having a time. I'm drinking a coffee, as you suggested. You took one look at me. I came off the vacation. I was in the vacation speed. You said, get this man a nice coffee. I took a few sips. All of a sudden, it's a different story.
Yeah, and I noticed immediately.
He noticed immediately. It's a tough job being Willie Do. Keep your eyes on the prize. You got to stay looking around, see what's really happening.
The shifty eyes.
Signal to noise ratio. Yeah. Willie Do staying up on it. So LG up until this point only a small number, but the real company Apple wants to shake hands with is BOE, which is a Chinese company in the OLED game. And there's been talk of this potential relationship for a really long time, but Apple still doesn't have the quality they're looking for. For 2020, Samsung is expected to have 74% of the OLED market, while China's BOE technology is expected to have a 9% market share. I mean, it's really small still. And when you're a company like Apple, you're you go in there and you say, oh yeah, we're going to need a couple million displays. That's how that meeting takes place.
In like a week's time?
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to need them in a week. And they're going to have to be perfect and meet our criteria. And we're a big customer. And we're Apple. And we have a discerning customer base. And we got a guy named Tim Cook. And have you seen our offices in Cupertino? They're kind of fancy.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting there in BOE, looking around like, oh my goodness gracious. What are we going to do over here? We got the machinery. We got the manpower. What do we got? So anyways, they're working towards it. You got to know Apple wants to shift away. But it goes to show you how funny this business is. Where Apple, as much as they would love to not purchase these displays from Samsung, the discerning customer, the OLED consumer demands it. They're not going to take a subpar product. If they look at that display and it's inferior, or you got a mess on there, an ugly mess, the display is such an important part of a smartphone, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you think it's like a matter of time till Apple develops their own display?
That's a great question. Do they, like they're doing with the Apple Silicon right now? Yeah, maybe they do. They go into BOE and they say, listen here. It's more than a partnership.
We'll buy you out.
Yeah.
Apple money.
Could it be? I don't know if you can buy BOE out. I don't know.
Yeah.
They could be way bigger than we think, but you're right. It's totally possible. It's that important. That component is important enough to potentially justify what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, 75%, they're hard to make. We should say tons of respect to Samsung because these are not easy to make. If these were easy to make, it would be hard to own 75% of the market. Because look at all these players in the list here. Everybody wants a piece of this. Samsung Display, BOE, LG Display, Visionox, Tianma Microelectronics, Ever Display. I mean, players want to play in the game. I don't know. I wasn't talking like that. Players like.
Yeah, I hear you.
I was talking about sports.